spooky boy. Booga 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 boo.
Three unqualified morons with microphones. This is the previously recorded podcast.
All right, welcome back to Previously Recorded. I am your host, RP, as always, and bringing you this 99th episode of Previously Recorded is our TeePublic store, our Redbubble store, and Totally Tees. So before we get into today's episode, I just want to let you guys know if you hear any abrupt yelling, cheering, cursing, or all the above, we are recording this in the middle of Game 2 of the Phillies Braves NLDS series. We were not supposed to be recording during the game, but due to Mother Nature, it is what it is. And, that's showbiz, baby. So helping us guide us through this Halloween episode is my two co-hosts, Boo and Shane Skeleton. Huh?
I genuinely thought you forgot our names for a second. The way
No.
I just clever. I got you.
Yeah.
He looked like he was thinking which friend he likes more of, like whose name to say first. And I was about to be genuinely upset if he didn't pick me.
Well, it's Mr.
Let me see if I can figure out a good one. You're clearly our peekaboo.
Well, Shane's Senator Skeleton. I like that.
Senator Skeleton.
That's a good one.
So all Shane Redemption, but that doesn't work out for anything Halloweeny.
We'll come back to it. It's just Dr.
Robotnik? That doesn't
Robotnik?
work. Bob for apples? Could I just be Bob for apples?
Sure, Bob for apples. Just in there with your Bob apple. But okay,
it's a great scene. I'm kidding.
So normally, what we do for our Halloween episode the last couple of years is J.K. Rowling stole Halloween Town. However,
because she did,
facts are facts, laws are laws. If anybody knows that, it's Senator Skeleton. But
checks out.
With the fourth Halloween Town being one terrible and two just a reboot, we did it in the last 2 years. So we're kind of just going to continue the Disney Plus disaster series and cover Hocus Pocus 2, as you can tell from the title. So today we're going to talk about the film, review it, say what we have to say about it.
This is the better call. Because
as
much as I didn't necessarily like the movie. Don't get into that. I didn't hate the movie. I think I would have been miserable watching Halloween Town High.
Yeah, well, we watched
Halloween Town High, right? We watched that one.
It's Return to Halloween Town, which doesn't even have the original cast. It's missing Marnie, which, I mean, who gives a shit? But I guess for the true believers out there, they know. So we did what I grew up on, and what I don't know if Shane watched it growing up. Bob, you watched? I forget if you watched them growing up.
Yes, I have.
Okay, so we're gonna cover now. So just due to timing and everything, we're going to talk about the film now and then do what we normally do in the beginning of the episode at the end. So just stay tuned for that. So we are going to be talking about the long-awaited sequel that nobody asked for. Well, actually, I guess a lot of people actually asked for it. But to Hocus Pocus, the original, 1993?
93.
Film.
They reference it in the film.
Do they? I guess.
Billy Butcherson says something about 1993.
Oh, yes, that's correct. That is correct. So before we get into that, how familiar were you guys with the original Hocus Pocus?
So I wasn't incredibly. I've watched it a good amount in my life, but I just started rewatching it before this one came out in my study hall, basically.
Okay.
I didn't finish it. We didn't get through it. We had half days and stuff like that. So and if I go to Disney Plus right now, I still have 26 minutes left of Hocus Pocus. So I kind of refreshed myself before I watched this one, but not enough where it was background noise too. So it's not like I was necessarily paying attention. I put movies on to kind of just they don't talk as much if there's a movie on, basically. But
yeah, I do that.
I was more refreshed than I would have been otherwise. Let's put it that way.
Okay. Shane, familiarity with the original?
Very familiar. I've watched it once a year for I don't know, as long as I can remember.
Really? So
Um,
growing up, like hearing all these stories we hear about what you grew up with, this is probably the last movie I expected you to watch with you, your brothers, and your parents. Like,
well, specifically my mom. She loved it, so I used to watch with her all the time.
okay, all right, that makes sense then. That checks out. Your mom has a wide variety of taste. So, with like instead of it's with you and your brothers, it was just like all like buddy cop comedies and
Well, yeah,
action
that was
films.
that was with my
Nightmare
dad.
on Elm Street.
Yeah. So you're very familiar with the franchise, or the film, I guess you should say. Not me. I kind of watched it for the first time all the way through. I think it was last year or 2 years ago. It was fine.
Which is surprising to me.
Yeah, same here, considering just like my background and things that I enjoy. And, even the director has done the original director did some things that I was very familiar with. But yeah, I just like never really had a huge interest in it. And then,
well, it's much better if you grew up watching it, then you feel like it's much better because it's more like a nostalgia thing. Because it's like a typical cheesy Disney movie.
Probably
But
the same thing as like.
did you
Top
just
Gun
hold on?
was for you.
Did you just crack a Red Bull?
We have to grade when we're done here too, so I have a long night ahead of me.
Yeah, I was saying it's 8:00. Taking a Red Bull is risque. All right,
Yeah,
sorry to
you
interrupt.
guys know-
that looked like a
Caffeine's
pounder
really
too.
What's that?
That looked like a
12
tall
ounce?
boy.
It's a 12 boy.
Oh man,
Okay, I guess it was just. I guess it was just real close to the camera when he cracked it. It looked like a tall boy.
I only do 8.
Look how big this thing is.
My heart might explode, and I drink coffee and everything. I only do the 8. I do 12. I think it's too much.
I don't drink caffeine. For those of you who don't know, listening, I think this should all make the cut, right?
Yeah. Bob will be up. He's doing a 24-hour podcast thing.
Yeah, I'm here for usually if I have caffeine, it's in a Four Loco. But
He's just going back and forth. He's going back and forth between Hocus Pocus and Hocus Pocus 2.
So it's about 8:00 now. 8:00, 8:15. We're gonna record for a little bit. I got home at about 7:50. I need to grade a bunch of stuff by tomorrow. So, and I haven't eaten dinner yet. So we're ready. We're rocking and rolling. But the good news is I think
Mark,
my body's too tired that this will probably keep me up through the Phillies game and no longer.
So you guys had liked it coming in, and I was not excited for this. I was just like, okay, it's a Disney Plus thing. I feel like it was announced like 4 years ago. It might have only been like 2 years ago it was announced, but it feels like it's been in the pipeline forever, and people have just been clamoring for it.
People just wanted it.
Yeah, it's just it has such a cult fan base. It didn't do really well originally. It had like a $30 million budget, made like $40 million, but it just was one of those things that more and more people started to like year after year. It's got like a huge cult following, kind of like I don't want to say The Room, maybe like Rocky Horror Picture Show. It's kind of got like.
Well, I think that happened with like people our age, where like we grew up on it and then like continued. Like Shane said, he watches it every year, but I also think because it's a Disney movie. Like, it's like, I'm going to show this to my kids, and then the kids still like it and stuff like that. So that's why I think that there was, like, a demand for the new movie. Because it's not just like, hey, nobody's really, only a bunch of 30-something-year-olds watch this movie. I feel like every year it's something happens, so. Yeah,
and there's, like, a ton of, like, Hocus Pocus events. People were doing, like, watch parties in groups like I was seeing on Facebook.
Like everywhere you turn, there's a Hocus Pocus like shirt during Halloween. Like all these people like have like homemade Hocus Pocus stuff.
The big thing the last 2 years, I think, was the drag brunch. Like that's been like a really big popular thing, and then it's been just around Halloween they choose Hocus Pocus as the theme as well.
I didn't know that was a thing until I watched the movie.
Yeah.
For me, it's like I love Halloween and I love watching horror movies, but it's like. Hocus Pocus and Nightmare Before Christmas have always been like two staples that I watch every year.
Is Nightmare Before Christmas a Christmas movie or a Halloween movie?
Starts off as a Halloween movie, ends as a Christmas movie.
I
think you watch it over the course of 2 months.
It's a super short movie.
I pause it and then I pick up later.
I think it's a Christmas movie because it's about the main antagonist or protagonist is, I guess, depending on how you look at it. he's a Halloween figure trying to recreate Christmas. So,
Yeah, but Oogie Boogie he's the Halloween figure, and he's the main protagonist.
I don't know. That's for the Suits of Washington.
I thought you froze. You paused for so long there.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but like, I'm not gonna try to classify it. Like you said, it's for the Suits in Washington. But like, I feel like Nightmare Before Christmas decor comes out at Halloween, not at Christmas time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's true.
I mean, it's above my pay grade, so I can't really comment.
Yeah, you're not on that committee. I don't know. Like Shanks texted me about it, and I was like, he thought it was Halloween. I thought it was Christmas for that standpoint. But Sonya was like, it's a Halloween movie. I'm like, okay, like I don't care. It's a perfect option to watch it both seasons.
I think it's the same. By the same logic, like if you say Die Hard's a Christmas movie, sure it is, but like I would watch Die Hard year round, where most Christmas movies I feel like I wouldn't.
True. Elf. I've seen Elf all year round. I mean, I guess more to your point, I was just in Disney and they had their Halloween party was the Oogie Boogie Bash. So I guess that's considers it I'll just shut up. It's a Halloween movie. So you guys had all these. Let's say you guys were fans of the original. Did you have expectations? So before we get into talking about this, did you have expectations or did you think it was going to be probably garbage?
I don't know. I had high hopes. I was just hoping that it wasn't going to be some like bullshit, do the same thing over again. Mm-hmm. Which I was kind of happy that it wasn't. They kind of did a different thing this time.
I feel like at times it was, but I agree with you too.
Mm-hmm.
I'll get into it when we get there. I won't like jump into it, but like I had no expectations. I honestly think if we weren't recording, I probably still wouldn't have watched it yet. I would have watched it eventually, but like I was in no rush to watch it. The bigger thing that I think like made me watch it was that like the kids I teach were talking about it.
Yeah,
that's what I mean. Like I know like a couple of the kids like went home, and it's high school kids, but like went home Friday night when it came out. We're like, oh yeah, we're gonna watch Hocus Pocus 2 with our family, like my family over the weekend. Like I'm gonna watch with my mom and dad over the weekend, stuff like that.
Yeah, it was a great like I said, I saw all over Facebook. So many people were doing watch parties, like big groups together watching the movie or waiting to watch it with their parents, which I think is awesome. Especially something too that's like not in theaters, and you could just easily watch at home. I didn't really have expectations for it either. I expected it to be crappy, but I was curious of what they were going to do, like to justify that they were back. And we'll start to get into some of that. So the plot for Hocus Pocus 2 is two young women accidentally bring back the Sanderson sisters to modern day Salem and must figure out how to stop the child-hungry witches from wreaking havoc on the world. Some of that is kind of the similar concept of the original, but I think they do a really good job in differentiating the films. And I'll just start off with that. Fuck. So my review of Hocus Pocus 2 is that I liked where they went with the movie. I expected it to be worse than what it was, but the plot felt justified. It's really hard with some of these movies to feel that it's justified in existing. And again, is any sequel ever justified? No, not really. But they waited and they had a decent plot. They had something that seemed logical and really the only logical next step for it. They wasted Hannah Waddingham, which I was saying it's probably cut, that our friend Marvel was telling me, he's like, yo, you're going to get excited about the first couple minutes. And it was because of Hannah Waddingham from Ted Lasso was in it, which I had known she had been in it, but they completely waste her and she's in it for like literally 4 minutes. And I would hope to see more because I think she is awesome. I think she's one of the most beautiful women in all of TV and film. And she got a smoking hot badunk. I'm telling you, if you look at it, it's massive.
Jesus, RP. Woman's got a father.
Jesus. This is a family-friendly podcast.
What about somebody's daughter here, RP?
Yeah. Yeah, whatever. I felt that the Sanders sisters kind of got right back into it without missing a beat. They felt like they just picked up where they left off, and I love that.
Well, so if we stick with just that beginning scene, I mean, I know we weren't going to go through it, but I don't have much for the middle. I
Yeah.
actually would have liked if they had stayed in like the old time period longer.
I would have too.
The Sanderson sisters. I liked what was going on. I liked the idea of like them as little kids behaving basically the same way. Like I enjoyed that. What was it? 15, 20 minutes of the movie.
It was actually a lot longer than I thought. Like I thought it was good. Like the way the movie started off, I was like, okay, it's gonna be like 5 minutes, and it ended up being like 15.
I would have been fine if that had been like half of the movie then.
Yeah, so would I. I mean, I would have. I mean, the reason to bring them back is for the 3 adults of them, but I think that would have been a logical.
Yeah, like I mean,
prequel. A prequel would have been logical.
Let's put it that way. Before I knew what the plot was, if it had been like, hey, this is their history, and then they come back for another reason, or they're like, and like they're sympathetic now or whatever, I just like I liked the idea of like what they were as kids, and not just this idea that like
they were funny
had from the first movie with I forget the kid's name.
They could have made that the whole movie, and I would have been fine. Like do half the movie with them younger, and then like do like what House of the Dragon did, do like a time jump, and then do a couple years later. Yeah, just keep it as like a prequel the whole time.
I think they could do a prequel show on Disney Plus, and that'd probably be enjoyable.
If we're gonna talk about House of the Dragon real fast, I saw a like thing the other day. Tank Sinatra, I don't know if you guys follow him on Instagram. He's kind of funny. He was like, "All right, well, how can we make him look older?" And they're like, "Oh, well, we'll cut Damon's hair." He's like, "All right, well, now we're gonna jump another 10 years. All right, well, let it grow back out."
Yeah, he looks
like cast an entirely new person. And they're like, well, what are we going to do about the king? And he's like, bag of bones. That guy's going to look like a bag of bones by the end.
He aged like milk, and everybody else aged like the same.
Well, I mean,
like,
he also, and they set it up earlier that he had that whatever zone.
Whatever, but like Corliss, his cousin, Damon, everybody looks the exact same.
Yeah.
And even like when they're time jumping like years, the kids look the same too. Until
he was like, "What are we gonna do?" Well, we'll have the brown-haired kids age like 4 years, and then the white-haired kids can age like 12 years.
I want to talk about that later.
Yeah,
House of Dragon.
But like I just thought that was funny.
Yeah, anyway. But I'm with you, man. I would have enjoyed Hocus Pocus 2 just being a prequel and kind of seeing how they got into
because then
ways.
Then you don't even have to justify them coming back. It's just you just watch.
Like if you want Bette Midler and them back, get to them like do half at a
or go
time, or like
go all the way up until the Zachary Banks thing when they get hanged, and then leave it at that.
You can go back and forth too. Like I don't care. I did, like when it started, and I like I said, I went into it really with no expectations and no like. I think RP said he kind of like didn't care. Once I was in, I was like, all right, cool, I'm going to watch this movie. Like I liked Hocus Pocus, so I was into it. But once it started there, I was like, this is actually kind of cool. Like I liked the little, I don't remember the witches' names. Bette Midler, whatever her name is.
Winifred,
yeah.
Mary and Sarah.
Mary and Sarah. Yeah. I remembered Mary and Sarah, but not her, which I should have, because I literally just watched the rest of it yesterday.
I didn't even realize Sarah Jessica Parker's character was named Sarah, so that's actually really funny.
Well, it's because it was one of her first roles, you know? She was still figuring out how to act. She needed to be reminded what her name was.
I like her a lot in the first one. She's probably my favorite in this one, too.
The first one, you like her a lot because she's really hot.
Mm-hmm. I'm a Sarah Jessica Parker fan. I know a lot of people.
She's a good-looking person.
I am. I think I know people say she looks like a horse.
I'm not saying she doesn't look like a horse.
But I think she's
a hot horse.
I think she's good at what she does.
Maybe she's a hot horse.
Yeah, she's really hot in the first one.
That's somebody's daughter. All right, that's somebody's daughter we're talking about.
Sorry. So you were saying you were just like you were kind of in.
I liked that part. I would have been fine with just that part.
Mm-hmm.
And like sitting around there and keeping it there. But when they jump to the current time, and then you get like the girls involved and stuff like that, there were a couple things, and then it kind of just slows down. So I was gonna kind of do this. The dude Glenn in the classroom is like it's a subtle thing. I watched the first like half hour twice because I wasn't really paying attention the first time. I was watching it at school, and then we were like confirmed we were doing that instead of Halloween Town. So I was like, let me go back and watch that. And like they walk into class, they're like, "What's up, Glenn?" And he's just like completely dressed like Dracula. Like that's his whole bit. Like that's it. Like that's Glenn. Like
yeah.
He's at the party later, and they're like, "Oh, Glenn," and he's like hanging out, and like in the entire movie, he's in there 3 times, and when they say Glenn, it's just you see a dude dressed like Dracula, and I'm like, all right, I like this. I'm about. That's like a funny little bit, and then the idea that they are in Salem and their school's mascot was the Puritans. It was really funny to me. Like, there's just some dude dressed like Ichabod Crane, like at that's like your mascot at games, and like I was like, okay, like that's funny. There's actually a school in New England where the mascot is the Ichabods, and it's the creepiest mascot.
I love that though. That's cool. I always liked Ichabod Crane too. Sleepy Hollow is a favorite of mine. I'm with you. I think this movie starts off good. Despite like the weird nighttime moony cartoon look that it has. And I like what it's become because that's absolutely what Salem would become, like with the magic shop being their own.
Yeah, everything's very like gimmicky because like, hey, we have witches, so that's the thing. Also,
tourism.
Sam Richardson, thank God for that dude.
First off, he's in literally everything, but I love him.
Good.
I love him in everything.
I know.
From I think Gilbert, you should leave to.
I was looking up because I wanted to talk about him.
That's the guy from I Think You Should Leave. But
yeah, I was just gonna say I know him as Tim Robinson's best friend.
Yeah, exactly. But like,
he's great in. I liked the Tomorrow War, but he was like the best part of that movie.
He was my favorite part of that movie too.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, like he popped up, and I was like, all right, cool, we'll be fine then.
Your brother's review. Your brother's review is the same thing. I'm here for Sam Richardson. Everything else is
him and
whatever.
him and the mayor
on Twitter.
Yeah,
I mean,
or his letterbox.
Okay, I'm everywhere for Sam Richardson. Like
him and the mayor. I love the actor that plays the mayor.
I actually wrote later on that the mayor Trask might be the best part of the movie.
He's one of the best people in Arrested Development. So I'm a big fan of him.
You gotta eat the kid the apple. I gotta get the kid.
And like everything was just like funny to me. It's just the way he said things.
That's like there were some aspects of this that I gave a good giggle. Like I did nothing that made me laugh out loud, but
the one thing did make me laugh out loud. So when they have the drag competition for the Sanderson sisters, and the other set of Sanderson sisters wins, and Bette Midler took the trophy and threw it at the judge and just hit him in the face, I did laugh out loud. Like I was not expecting that at all from this movie.
That's my kind of humor. I like that.
Yeah, it's just like dumb. Like I just threw this in your face.
Mm-hmm. I think it felt a lot of the time like the original one, which is what it was going for, and that's what people want. And so I'm glad that's what it is. And I think people who love the first one will love this one, and that's kind of the consensus. Everybody who's liked the first one a lot has liked this one.
I liked it. I wasn't like, you know what I mean? Like I didn't walk away from it saying like I think I'm too old for it now, if that makes sense. Like
it's not made.
It was a little like campy, cheesy, and obviously it's not made for me, so I'm fine with that. I didn't like the musical numbers.
No, like, the witch is back. What is going on?
My exact note is once Bette Midler shows up, I'm out. Disrespectful to Elton John.
Yeah, like what?
And then when they do, what was the other one?
It's the one from the Rugrats movie with the orange VHS.
One way or another. One way or another.
One way or another, yeah. Like I felt like it was the exact same scene from the original Hocus Pocus, though. Like doing it in front of a bunch of people, putting them under a trance. That one, I was like, okay, this is the same bit.
Mm-hmm. What I didn't like about this one too is I felt like it was too much Bette Midler. Like I like the other sisters. I think they're funny, and it wasn't enough.
I agree with that, but then like at the end, I guess it makes sense if that.
Before we get there, Shane, what are your thoughts? Me and Bob have kind of just been sharing ours. What like in the beginning, even just kind of overall, what are your thoughts on Hocus Pocus 2? Because I do want to I have a lot to say about the end.
I don't really have any problems with it. I enjoyed it. I thought it was enough alike the original, but they kind of did their own thing too. I hadn't even thought about the point you just made. Too much Bette Midler, which yeah, I get. She gets kind of annoying at times. And I do like the other two sisters
I
too.
think that's the character though too, where like supposed to be annoying. So like,
Yeah.
I enjoyed. Go ahead.
No. Go ahead.
I enjoyed like when they came back and they were just confused about like the sliding doors at the Walgreens and like the typical like fish out of water jokes. I did enjoy. However, like this, I guess it's the first one too. The first one feels like a Disney Channel movie, and like so, and that's why I'm glad it was on Disney Plus. Because my biggest complaint is the ending.
you think that you would have gone to, like not you? Do you think that people would have gone to see it in theaters? Do you think it would have done well? Like you have no interest to begin with, but like my sister, for example,
yeah, people
might
would
have
have
wanted
gone.
to take but my nephews actually don't like they won't watch it. I don't know why.
But she watched it with her friends. I saw, and so they all would have. People would have went to the
I don't know if
theater.
she would have went to see it or what. But
See,
like,
this isn't a movie I'd want to go see in the theaters though, because I feel like it would just be like too many kids.
I actually think that this is like, and I mean, I'm sure there's been other ones, but nothing that like comes to mind. Where like this is the perfect reason to have a Disney Plus type streaming service.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's like, all right, I get it. I get Hocus Pocus 2 now, which I'll watch because it's on a streaming service. I probably wouldn't have seen it otherwise. I enjoyed it at the end of the day. Like I walked away and I was like, okay, I like that movie. And now I'm like, okay, that's something. It's like when the Netflix movie comes out. And it's like I wouldn't want to watch, but I mean, there are a lot of times they're like blockbusters.
Well, like the perfect example is like the Munsters reboot just came out on Netflix, and it was a Rob Zombie movie. And I would never pay to see that movie, but it was on Netflix, so I did watch some of it in a podcast I talked a little bit about it. So I watched it, but it's like the same thing. I agree. This is probably like the epitome of what Disney Plus should be for in terms of movies that could make money at the theater, but are also
you
not.
don't have to take that chance of them bombing.
And I also think that that's a benefit to it too. I think it's doing well on the Rotten Tomatoes, like the aggregate score.
I think that I would rank this. Where did you? Because I know that like.
So it's at 62%, which I think is fair, and I think the fact that it was at home streaming helped that. Like the fact that if this was in theaters,
if I paid money to see this.
What's the difference between audience and critic?
It's probably like 100% audience. Oh shit! It's 52% audience score.
It's what?
52% audience score.
Really?
It says the audience says Hocus Pocus 2 has its moments, but for fans who have waited years for a sequel to the original, this is mostly a disappointment.
See, I think that's like that's
that's the audience, not the critics. That's the audience.
But that's how everyone is. It's like how like casual MCU fans are now. They just want callbacks and they want guest appearances. They're annoying. They just wanted the first movie all over again with like callbacks and stuff.
Because it's people who, like he said, like are they people for how long they've waited. Well, one, if you've been waiting this long and like banking on a Hocus Pocus 2 movie, you're a dork. So like that's the first problem. So like, but then, what were you expecting? It's not like there's material that you could get upset about. Like it's just, it's there.
I think by my feeling of why I gave the score the same score I gave the original. My biggest complaint with this movie, plot and everything aside, was how the film ended. It seemed rushed, and it seemed kind of out of character. Now I know how she cares about her sisters, but it just seemed weird. I know that's kind of what they were driving at some points, but then there's even that friction where they're like, I'm tired of being yelled at after they get their powers. like, because the movie itself felt different enough from the original one. It brought back, Billy Butcherson, blah blah blah, but it felt individual.
Different
I felt
accent
this
on
was-
Billy Butcherson, by the way. Horse shit.
Yeah, I didn't care for it.
He didn't sound like that in the first movie.
I also didn't care for any of those scenes. I didn't think they were that funny. But
That was kind of renewed stuff. Like it was basically the same stuff. He loses his head again.
Yeah.
Stone shut. That I could have lived without it, but it was. I mean, Sam Richardson was there, so it was all right.
Mm-hmm. And because they talk about like the love for him in the first one, but I just didn't like the ending. It felt rushed. It felt like Marvel put it the best way. The 2022 Disney bullshit is kind of what the ending felt like, and it just didn't feel like it flowed with the characters in the movies. And now I could be looking at it too critically, not as a huge fan of it. Maybe I wasn't paying attention enough, but I just didn't. I was just like, it's over. Like it was just.
I agree with that to an extent. Like I feel like once Cassie got involved again, everything happened quickly and didn't necessarily have explanation, if that makes sense. Like
yeah, and even that trope, like.
And they kept saying, like, oh, we don't need to explain this, right? And I'm like, you don't. But also, like, if I hadn't talked to you guys in a year and then you showed up and one of you was doing magic, I'd probably be like, all right, let's fucking take a second here.
While also ratting me out to my dad.
So, like, I agree with that. And then everything once they get to, like, the Forbidden Wood or whatever it's called, does seem rushed, but like I feel like, and it goes, Marvel is kind of this. I feel like they're clearly driving at a message that is not for us. It's for the 10-year-olds who are watching this movie.
But and I'm okay with taking those messages, but does that? And again, because you guys are bigger fans of the original, so you can tell me. I've only seen it a few times. Does that reign feel connected to the first one? Does that same does the ending fit the Hocus Pocus mythology?
Yeah, I mean it's kind of out of character because
that's what I mean, because between the first and the second one, they're gone. It's not like they're like hanging out in like a.
I don't think it's out of character necessarily, because like if you think about it, they wanted to be the most powerful witches, which is completely in character. They wanted to get revenge on Salem, which is completely in character. All that stuff's in character. They perform this spell not knowing that it's going to take away Sarah and Mary. And then once that happens, like, are you saying that in the first movie you don't think Winnie cared about her sisters?
I think
I do. I just thought, I don't know, I thought she would care more about being the most powerful.
I also think, and I think if you just went first movie to this movie, I think you're, like, to the end of this movie, you might be right. But I think that's why that part in the beginning, with her kids, is there. Like, she's taking care of her sisters. Like,
yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Stuff. Like, it's there to make you realize how close they were.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like RP said, they have the friction, and then like Sarah says, like, I don't want to be talked down to anymore, and then goes and does what she's told to do anyway, like all that stuff. But I wasn't happy with the ending. I'll say that. But I also, like, when I saw it, I wasn't like, okay, this is a bad ending. I was like, okay, this ending is just not for me. This ending is intended for kids. To like,
yeah, I wasn't mad. I was just like, oh, it's over. Like, it's an hour and 40-minute movie, and the ending was 15 minutes.
Completely agree that it's rushed. I wasn't as like upset with what happened necessarily as like how quickly it happened. If that
yeah. I don't want to say I'm here and I was like, God damn it, fuck this movie. Like I was just
my exact note is very cheesy ending, but probably good for kids.
Yeah, I just put unlike them. That's unlike them. That's just how I thought. And I watched this in 2 sittings because Audrey was like, I don't want to finish this, and I was like, okay, that's fine.
Like, I did watch it broken up just because of like timing purposes, but like all in all, I didn't mind it. Like at no point in the movie was like, I was how much longer do I have to watch this? Mm-hmm. Which I've absolutely done. We've watched on for this podcast,
especially for this podcast. I paused to see what do I have left.
What do I got left here?
What else? What else about the movie? Like, did you?
Can we talk about the
plotting of the candle?
I have no problem with any of this stuff, but just like how forced the like diversity was in this movie. I felt like I didn't know about the drag thing, so now that makes a lot more sense. But then like when they're flying around at one point, they just like go to a window and it's like a gay couple, and then the next window is like it's just like okay, like we get it. Like there's different types of people in the world. I just didn't understand why like.
I guess just because that's like it's a huge movie, like in the LGBT fan base.
So you think it
I
was
would
just
say,
a nod to them?
yeah, I guess, and
Which is
we're
good.
trying to get.
That I like. Like if that's the situation, then I'm all right with that. It
Yeah,
just
I
felt
think it's just.
like when they were going around to the windows, and it was like they were like flying by windows.
Mhm.
It's
I remember
right.
the gay couple.
I just like didn't understand what was happening because it was like a kid in bed and then a gay couple, and I'm like, what are we seeing here? Yes, people live in Salem. Like I understand that.
The interesting part too was that the gay couple was watching the original film.
Where are they?
Yeah,
'cause
it was the part with the guy dressed as Satan.
So I'm with you. It doesn't really make sense, but I guess it's just acknowledging, like, hey, we know you. This is big in the community, and you're a big part
And
of
if
our fan
that's
base.
like if it's just like a nod, that makes so much more sense. But when I was watching, I was like, I don't understand what you're trying to show.
What
Like,
they
I
were
feel
trying
like
to
it's
show,
almost like forced.
yeah, like what
And
they were trying to
I-
show is that every Friday in Salem, every gay couple watches Hocus Pocus. That's what they're trying to say. It's just
No
internal
problem.
marketing inside of its own movie. It's like
I
the
have no
Nicole
problem with
Kidman
any
thing.
of it. But
Like,
like, I don't need to be told that there's gay couples in Salem. I kind of just assume that that's probably something that exists, as it exists everywhere else.
Everywhere in the world. But it's just like the Nicole Kidman trailer. You're already here watching it, but we're going to show you.
Let's show you. Yeah, let's show you.
We're going to
what-
show you the first one.
If you're liking this, let me tell you about a movie that came out in 1993 that you might like even more.
So I hope to see, because Nicole Kidman's writing the sequel to her AMC thing. So I hope to see a scene where she's watching her original trailer. Like that's what it starts off with.
I want it to be like her in the lab, you know, like Eminem, like just really fucking trying to come up with something crazy, and she's like watching her own video for motivation, but then like watching car commercials for motivation, like trying to figure out really what's the cheesiest. I'm going to tell you something that you already know.
Has
I could
100
see-
screens.
I could see her, yeah, like Batman in the Batcave and like
Yeah.
all the different computers.
And,
I could see
trying to
her,
pick
like,
the right scenes, like from the
in
movie
an-
clips that they show.
Her in an AMC theater watching her own ad, like just shedding one tear.
Yeah.
It starts off at
She
like
walks out of she walks out of the theater after watching her own ad, and she was like, "That's brilliant. How am I going to top that?"
it's like it's just like it starts off with her in the AMC theaters laboratories, and it's just like her buckling down. I'm all for that. We could probably write it. It would
She's
be
got like
pretty
her,
awesome.
but I want like she's trying to write like this dope rap album. Like she's got her hood up, and she's got like her headphones on the bus, like bobbing back and forth, like literally Eminem in 8 Mile. Just
Sitting at a
trying to
piano.
fucking- yeah, just
like
trying
doing
to
it.
get those creative juices flowing, you know.
Mm-hmm. Man,
And she
what a
comes out
world we
with
live in.
absolute fucking junk.
I wanted to come out with a heater. I wanted to come out.
Just to be the hottest thing you've ever heard. Like, goddamn.
Mm-hmm.
Nicole
Give me
Kidman-
a reason to go to the theater.
Nicole
to
Kidman with
remind
another-
people.
I start going to see movies I don't want to see because I just want to see the trailer beforehand.
Just remember, Bob, heartbreak feels good in a place like this.
That's not true.
That's my favorite line from that
Somebody
thing. I
needs
think
to
it's
tell Nicole
absurd.
Kidman. If I'm sitting in a movie theater and someone's like, "Hey, by the way, I've been fucking your brother," I'm not gonna be like, "God, thank God I'm here," where that feels good.
wait.
Not the fucking, just like finding out the heartbreak that's clearly going on there.
Wait.
Like Mike,
Wait.
in this, I need to be more clear. In this scenario,
Yeah, this was. I was very
the person
confused.
who's
Like,
telling me
just
they're
been a
fucking my brother
stranger.
is like
This-
my girlfriend or something like
Yeah, this
that.
sounds like in the scenario you'd rather be fucking your brother.
I don't not want to fuck my brother. I've watched a lot of Game of Thrones in my life. It seems pretty hot.
Yeah, heartbreak
Shout out,
feels
Brian.
good.
By the
Yeah,
way,
shout out to Brian. Thank you
that's
for
not getting
listening.
cut. Shout out, Brian. You'll be listening to this.
Shout out to all the Brians
Yeah.
that are listening. So just to let you guys know out there, this is the PSA announcement around this time of year anyway. If you get worried that you are near a spooky person or someone with magic, just carry salt. You will be okay.
Salt. Yeah, throw salt. So it turns out that like Harry and Lloyd knew a lot in Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah, they're on the salt.
Yeah, Seabass must have been a witch.
Also, the girl, I think the kids were all pretty solid actors for what was asked of them. The kid trope was just something that's been done before. But I will say, the thing I didn't like was how quick she mastered her powers. Like, she had the force field, like, immediately. She had no idea what the fuck she was doing. But
Yeah,
that's here and there. They only had 100 and, an hour and 40 minutes to get this movie done.
Get it quick. We don't have time for a training sequence here, RP.
Yeah, true. No montages.
I mean, we could have done
no montages in the budget.
We could have done a training montage, but we'd rather have Bette Midler do a musical number. So,
Well, what did you expect? Her like Rocky 3 style and out in the woods in the tundra,
I want her
like chopping trees down.
I would have like
say
a
Rocky
small
3.
ball.
I would actually compare it to Nicole Kidman. Just back in the lab. We're back there again. Can we talk about the teaser ending real fast?
Yeah, so the only reason I saw that is because I finished it on my tablet. It was kind of just sitting here. And then I was like, are you fucking serious? There's a tag? What else can they do? Literally, what else can they do?
And did you see it, Shane? Did you watch the...
There's a
What is there, a
credit
cut?
scene.
No, I didn't know there was an end
So
credit
when
scene.
I watched, it says, like, skip credits. So the guy is coming. So then you cut, and it's the cat.
The cat.
Forget the Cobweb, I think the cat's name was, or something like that.
Good name for a cat in a magic show.
Yeah, it was a fun name, if that's right. If not, that's a cooler name than whatever.
I think it was Cobweb.
And the cat is, like, on a shelf in the magic shop, and it's walking around a box that's labeled BF number 2, which would be Black Flame Candle number 2. But I was like, well, I don't get it. Like, what is there for that candle to bring back?
Yeah, because it can't bring them
again.
But it can't, because where they went wasn't where they were.
Where they were going, they didn't need roads. Yeah,
roads. Yeah,
Doc Brown made that very clear.
Good old Doc Brown. They were on stage together this weekend.
You and
New
Doc?
York
Yeah, I
Comic
saw
Con.
that.
That was awesome.
I thought you said we were on stage. I was like, where were you on stage when I was Doc Brown there? What a crazy.
It was a live podcast. We're at San Diego. We're at New York Comic Con. Yeah, I don't know what they got to do to bring back. I don't know what they can do.
I just didn't understand what it was even like referencing. Like, I wasn't like, oh.
Unless it just like that candle
twist.
just brings them back, like no matter where they are, like because they died. They all die and go.
And even then, like,
wherever.
it's in the magic shop. Are you going to tell me that Gilbert, who almost died in this whole scenario, is going to like bust out another black flame candle? I feel like he'd go home and like wreck that thing.
Well, also, it was kind of diabolical of him. He set it up. He's just like, "Oh yeah, I was a huge fan, and I knew you guys could do it." So I was like, "Bro, what are you doing?"
But I was all right with it. It's Sam Richardson.
It's Sam Richardson, yeah.
If it had been anybody else, I'd be like, "This dude stinks."
Well, I'm glad it wasn't Miles Teller.
Like, he's meant to stink in the movie, and I'm like, I don't care. He's funny.
If it was Miles Teller, it would have been game over.
I don't know. He's on the comeback trail.
He's a Phillies fan.
Yeah, we like him now.
I liked, I cast it in my movie. I liked also, like, when that beginning scene with Gilbert, when they were talking about virgins, and he's like, and like the mom's like looking at him like, where are you going with this? He's like, somebody who's never lit a candle.
So it's funny. It's funny because right before he said that, I was like, I was like, how do you explain that to kids? Like, kids who haven't had that talk yet, and you have to be like, yeah, this is like the major point of like a children's family film. Like what? Like
I don't know. And then I liked when the girls were like, "Why can't you do it? Or why couldn't you do it?" He's like, I couldn't because I'm not. And they're like, "Oh, like gross. We don't need to hear about that."
I think the one thing that actually got a really good laugh out of me was in the beginning when she was like, when they're kids before, in the past before they jump to the future, and she's just like, I refuse to marry him or whatever. And the guy just goes, "Oh, thank God." I was like,
I'm sorry, but she's gross or whatever. Like, he said something about it.
I was like, that was really good. So anything else to add before we kind of close it out? Anything you wanted to discuss that we didn't get to? Anything you liked, you didn't like, and then a rating. Shane, if you want to go first, since you are probably the biggest Hocus Pocus fan out of the three of us.
Probably the biggest Hocus Pocus fan in the world.
Yeah, I know. You know what? This account keeps liking my tweets, and it's probably keep forgetting to switch back. It's #1 Hokey Pokey stan. I didn't realize it was you.
No, that's not me. Mine is I heart bet forever.
Yeah, the guy
Sanderson's forever.
Liking your stuff just loves the Hokey Pokey.
I can turn myself around.
Yeah, he's been trying to turn himself around, but it's just not happening.
Hey man, that's what it's all about.
Great work across the board, fellas. That was absolutely fantastic.
Yes,
Shane,
it was.
go ahead, give your review. I won't interrupt anymore.
Like I said, I didn't really have much bad to say. I enjoyed it. You gotta take it for what it is. It's a Disney movie. It did need to happen, but they did a good job of not just copy and paste the first movie. I don't know. 10 out of 10 for Gilbert. He was the real hero, even though he wasn't.
10 out of 10 for Mayor Trask too, probably, right?
Oh yeah, love him. Also love him as a Puritan. He was great.
10 out of 10 from Shane. He did say it was a good movie. He texted us about it before we discussed, and I was...
Yeah, I was heavily drinking because that was my birthday weekend that we watched it.
The movie as a whole, not just Gilbert and Mayor Trask. What would you give the movie as a whole?
I don't know. Like a 7. Didn't blow my didn't blow my balls off.
I wish it did though. That'd be sick.
What? That's a new
that was an Easter egg for Nick if he's watching. Nicky V, because that's something they say on the Hey Babe podcast. So
Okay.
Nick, if you're listening, text me that you just heard this.
That's all good jokes. None of them come from us originally.
Let me know. Let me know immediately when you hear that.
He's Johnny on the spot. He will text.
He will.
Bob.
Nick.
I think the biggest thing that Shane just said, which is like what my review was, you take it for what it's worth, and like I feel like you'll enjoy the film. I was gonna say 6 out of 10, 6-ish in that range. Depends on my mood, but like if you go into it and you're like, all right, I'm just gonna watch a cheesy kids movie, I feel like you'd enjoy it, and like you're good. Like, and I think some of the stuff that you said rings true too. Like the original you said, but not so much for me. Like felt like a Disney Channel movie. This felt like a Disney Channel movie. We're like, but I'm all right with that. Like I like Disney Channel movies. That's fine by me. The fact that it's just on Disney Plus helps that. If I'd gone to the theaters to see this, I would have walked out and be like, that was fucking dumb. Yeah. Like I feel like all that stuff just kind of holds shit. They're just striking out left and right.
I'm a little bit delayed, so
okay. Yeah.
There it goes.
Well,
there we go.
Actually got a strike.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'd say 6. There's things I definitely liked, and then I think I took the ending with a grain of salt, understanding that ending is probably not intended for a 32-year-old man.
So you gave it a 6 out of 10. Shane gave it a 7 out of 10.
6.1. Let's get rid of these even numbers.
Okay.
6.136.
All right, fine.
All right,
7.2354.
All right, it's not pie, Shane. We're like relax.
I wish it was. I'm hungry.
Okay, so as I kind of said earlier, I like this movie as what they tried to accomplish in terms of the sequel. It feels like the original without feeling like a duplicate. For example, these are kind of two extremes, but it is what Love and Thunder kind of should have been, where it was the good parts of the previous film, but then also added on to its own. But it kind of hit all the things. The Sanderson sisters are great. And it was a weird rushed ending, I thought, but there was enough in there to achieve what it was going for. I gave this film on my letterbox a 2 out of 5, but a 4 out of 10 seems low, so I'm going to give it a 5.2 out of 10.
It's an unbelievable catch you're about to see.
Oh shit, that is crazy. 5.2 out of 10. Again, if
more Hannah Waddingham, what would that have
yes, 100%. If she was in it like 10 minutes more, easily 7 out of 10. I absolutely adore her.
So you think
7 out
Do you
of 10.
think-
Also, new underwear needed.
Yeah.
So they could have done
Yeah.
like 10 more minutes of her showing them how to use the book, but she kind of
Again-
just like gives them the book and then
Here's
fucks
the
off.
book. Go.
Again,
I
that's
also
a
like that
more
they call it the
interesting
book.
story.
And
Yeah,
then you
the
get
book.
more of the kids.
Oh, and like the book crying too, like fuck off.
It didn't look like there was a tear. They was like, it looks like it's crying.
Somebody just spit on it.
Yeah.
But
wasn't
that's for me.
spit,
It didn't work. I think it's fine for Disney Channel or Disney Plus, and it achieves what I think it achieves what it set out to do. And for that, I could take away. I'm giving it more points for that. And people who like the original will like this one a lot, despite what Rotten Tomatoes audience score says. However, if you're going to watch it, these are good for the Halloween season. Just watch the first one. You're better off just watching the first one. You don't need to watch this one.
But if
it's
you've
just a
watched the
slap.
first one every year for the last however
Yeah,
many
check it
years,
out. If you haven't
then
seen it,
I
watch
think
it.
you're good, yeah.
It's one of those, if you're trying to flip during, I would say this isn't a weekend movie. If you're middle of the week trying to find something during spooky season to watch, or even just, after you're in November, because when this comes out, it's a good middle of, watch it with your family, your kids, your cats, your
I think
dogs,
it's a good
whatever.
family movie.
For
Yeah.
if you have 2 kids, it's
If you have two-
enjoyable.
Well, if you have 2 kids, you should be watching Dr. Dolittle.
What the fuck did I say that to? What movie
Dolittle.
was it?
Yeah,
Dr.
if
Dolittle.
you have 2 kids, you should only be watching Dr. Dolittle.
I changed my statement on that movie. That movie's bad.
Ever since RP said that, his dad hasn't been able to watch any other movie. He's just not allowed anymore. He has 2 kids. He has to watch Dr.
Yeah,
Dolittle.
that's it. Even when we go see like Marvel movies on the night they come out, every time I look over, Bob's just watching
On his phone.
on
And
his
he's doing
phone,
one
yeah.
of these. He's
He's
doing one
got,
of these.
he's got headphones in and he's watching Dr. Dolittle.
He's doing a belly laugh.
He's doing like a belly
my
laugh.
dad's doing a belly laugh to Dr. Dolittle because that's where it all started.
It
Him
is-
human being loving
was-
the trailer.
Oh, during the trailer, you started laughing,
Yeah.
right?
Just the trash bag was at my house. We were like getting ready to go somewhere, and he like stopped in, and my dad was like laughing out loud at the trailer for Dr. Dolittle.
That's
And then
fucking.
he ended up watching it at some point.
Did he ever wear his giant shirt that you got him?
I don't think so.
I did.
It's unfortunate.
I like that shirt.
No, that's what I told RP. I got a text confirming a charge to my credit card. The last charge, I don't ever delete my text, so like it still had like the previous text that I had gotten confirming a charge was from Wish, which is where we got the gigantic Dr. Dolittle shirt. So little call.
Wasn't it like a 2X?
I think it was a 5X because it had women's size.
5X women's.
Yeah. It wasn't unisex for whatever, but it wasn't. So we bought a 5X. Like, it wasn't a women's cut. I don't know why. It was
No,
like
it fit fine. I mean, I wore it fine.
Would you wear it as like a nightgown?
He wore
I'd
it.
wear it as
wore
wear it as a
Chicago,
sleep
didn't he?
shirt. Yeah, I did. Okay, so that is our review of Hocus Pocus 2. Like you said, if you need something to do with 2 kids, watch it. It's fine. It's a little bit longer, but if you enjoy the first one, you'll probably enjoy it. But there's other better stuff on Disney Plus right now for Halloween, like Werewolf by Night. Werewolf by Night is Marvel's stab at a Halloween special, directed by Michael Giacchino, who you guys might know from as a composer, who's done a lot of stuff. And he decided to take a swig at this classic story that involves Man-Thing and the werewolf. I don't know much about the backstory of it all, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was really, really good. Now, I'm going to keep it spoiler free here. Shane, you watched
I'm only
it.
25 minutes in. That's why we're spoiler free right now. I'm really.
I liked
No,
it a
I
lot.
should keep it
It felt like a classic, like black and white monster movie. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, they were going.
I was enjoying it so much. I was disappointed when I found out it was just a special. It wasn't a series.
Yeah, Feige's heading to the future of the MCU, but honestly, he says that about everything. So
I
I
think
don't.
it probably means that as far as like these kind of things being able to, like them being able to put out one shot.
Which I
Mm.
love. I absolutely love that idea. I think that's fantastic.
So have you guys ever watched the old Twilight Zone?
I've seen like a few episodes.
Did you ever see the episode where they go to like the monastery and the guy's in the jail cell and the people in this guy comes in like out of the cold, and he's like the guy's like in a jail cell, and he's like they got me locked up in here, and the guy who runs the monastery is basically like you can't let him out, like he has to stay in there. That's the devil. It like gave me vibes legitimately of that episode from the start, like with the scenery and where they were, and then I got interested, and I'm only like 25 minutes in just because life happened and I couldn't finish it, but I'm invested in it, and I drank a Red Bull today. So by the way, I Jojo Romero'd that Red Bull. That was going so fast.
Yeah, you crushed that.
I like the taste. That's the
So
problem.
do I.
You know?
Taste is good.
And then, so I might just be up all night watching that and Hocus Pocus and Hocus Pocus 2.
See, that's why I don't drink energy drinks anymore. Because I used to drink the Reigns, and they taste so good that I would chug them, and then you literally feel like you're on crack when you're done because
They're,
like
like,
your whole
better.
body's like shaking.
They're actually like better for you, Brian was saying.
They have so much caffeine though.
Yeah, they've doubled the caffeine.
Yeah,
It's like 300 milligrams caffeine. Like you don't need that much caffeine.
Yeah, Red Bull gets me like 6 hours and I'm good.
Yeah, it just
Gives you wings. Like Namor. No, dude, I really enjoyed it. I love the homage to the classic horror movies that Twilight Zone.
It was fun.
Going for a lot of practical effects. I liked. Well, I'll stop there. Just like a lot of practical effects. I love the grayscale.
Mm-hmm.
And a very interesting choice that they picked, and I really really liked it.
Saying this without ruining something for Bob, who it seems like he's frozen right now. What's going on with Bob?
His eyeballs.
What the fuck was that?
His eyeballs were like his.
He
It looked like
a
he painted on eyeballs.
He looked like a White Walker.
Man, I didn't realize I got
You froze and your eyes were glossed over.
Yeah, no,
but
really
the style of the movie, like I can say this without spoiling anything for Bob. It's something that the Sin City movie does that I really like, where everything's like black and white grayscale, except for one thing will like be full of color.
Yeah, were there multiple things? I know they had like
just the one.
The stone, the bloodstone.
Yeah,
the bloodstone.
Yeah,
I didn't know if you got to that part yet or not.
I'm halfway through, so
okay.
Without spoiling anything, like the one.
But Sin City does that, where like it's a Sin City's a black and white movie, but like one person will have like real bright red lipstick, or like anytime there's blood. Red, right? Yeah, I like that a lot.
It's a cool aesthetic, and it's something that we haven't seen, and another risky endeavor for Marvel to attempt. And I'm glad they did.
Do you think it was cool. That risky though? Do you think that was a high budget project?
No shot. Considering it's like kind of short, like a lot of practical.
Total.
Yeah. It's just fucking cool.
Yeah, like big money for a guy with a Scottish accent. That's about it.
Yeah. I'm curious to see where it goes. I'm curious to see like what the Bloodstone can do. Like they kind of talk about it a little bit in the show.
Maybe that's what's important. Maybe the Bloodstone will show up in later Marvel stuff.
If it's going to have a tie to anything, it'll be Blade. And Blade's been pushed because I heard the rumor is the script was terrible, had 2 action scenes in it. It's just kind of boring. So that's
hopefully they can get it figured out then, because I have real high hopes for that, because I really enjoy the first 2 Blade movies. The third one's kind of whatever.
I'm sure they figure it out. I've never seen them.
Those are ones I grew up watching too. I grew up watching those and Hocus Pocus.
I've seen the two for sure. I was talking to somebody about the third one, and I was like, I honestly, now that we're like having the conversation, I don't think I've ever seen the third movie.
Third one's with Ryan Reynolds, and he's basically Deadpool, but he's not.
That's the one. That's what they said, and I was like, I don't think I've seen this.
Yeah, it's okay. He's good in it, but the rest of the movie's just whatever.
We'll see what happens. I don't want to talk about it too much because Bob still hasn't finished it, and the people listening, I don't want to ruin it for you either.
I want to finish it. I'll text you guys when I do, because I'm curious to see what other stuff you have to say about it.
Yeah, it's good. And then another Marvel property that at this point, by the time you guys listen, will be over, but it's She-Hulk. She-Hulk's been under a lot of shit lately. I think kind of for not a good enough reason. Like it's just a TV show that.
That's what I was saying. What I was saying earlier, the casual MCU fans that just want to complain about shit. I love She-Hulk. I'm
fun.
very much enjoying it. I loved Miss Marvel. Like, stop expecting so much from it's a fucking TV show.
Miss
Stop
Marvel
expecting
did-
so much from it.
I think Miss Marvel did more, where like people didn't complain as much, whereas She-Hulk's just kind of happening.
I don't care. I like it.
It's-
I'm enjoying it.
I'm the same way. I completely agree with you, but I
Mhm.
feel like that's why She-Hulk's getting more shit because like if the
Why is it
Everything-
their
world,
voice?
the world could do
Everything
without
everything
Yeah.
everyone's complaining about with Daredevil, I enjoyed from that episode. I thought he was
She-Hulk. I
perfect.
like that episode.
It was a good
think-
episode.
I like that they poked. You know,
Me
She-Hulk.
I
And
like
I
that she
like it-
turns to the camera at the end and lets you know that she really came from that.
I like it, man. And people who have watched Daredevil, the original show, and are familiar with the character in the comics, it's not like they hit on anything that didn't already been talked about. Like, yes, he gets around. That's for
Mhm.
one, and
Yeah.
two, he has a jokier side in the
Yeah,
Netflix
that's
TV show.
That's what gets me. People are like, "Oh, he's supposed to be serious. He doesn't joke around." Like, have you ever watched the show or read a Daredevil comic?
Literally
he
the
fucks around
first-
a lot.
the first 10 minutes of the show. There's a joke about
Hmm.
when did you start practicing law, and he looks at his watch and goes,
Dude,
like 10
he
minutes
hangs
ago.
out with Spider-Man in the comics. Like, they joke around. Like, what are you talking about? What are you basing this off of?
It's just
You're-
people
you're-
looking
you're-
to bitch.
They're outraged over nothing.
They're outraged because they don't have some bad that everything's driving towards, like they did with
Yeah.
Thanos, and so now it's like, oh man, they have no idea where they're going. There's some fucking gigantic fucking bulletin board with yarn all over it that Kevin Feige's got in his basement, where he knows where all this shit's going. It's just like, let it
Just taking their
happen.
time.
Let it exist. It's fine if it's just there.
And I think too, when you have a streaming service like Disney Plus, you have all these fucking characters, it's nice to switch it up. Give something that's almost zero stakes that people can just throw something on a Thursday, watch it for a half hour, and be like, "Yeah, that was good." I don't need to go into the message boards.
Would like solve that problem to an extent, which I don't want to happen, but I just feel like if they released all of She-Hulk at once.
I think this is a show that would have been. I know why they didn't, because that's not their model. But this would have been a perfect show to just release all at once. But people can watch it.
People would have watched it and be like, "Ah, whatever. It was fine, but nothing really big happened," and then they're not mad. But instead, everybody every week is like, "Oh, something big's gonna happen. There's gonna be some big reveal is gonna happen this week."
Mhm.
And
Yeah,
spoiler
it's
alert,
not.
it's
Like,
just
they-
time, it's fine.
They literally show Daredevil's helmet at the end of the episode, like 5 or 6, and then make you wait 3 weeks for him to show up. And I'm like, that's just like, it doesn't fucking matter, because it's a TV show about woman Hulk who's a lawyer. Yes, the CGI doesn't look amazing all the time, but who cares? Like, it's not real. It's a TV show. It's a sitcom. Sure, yes, I would agree that Marvel Studios CG hasn't been great of late, but I don't think it's as bad as everybody makes it out. And then motion smoothing also makes it look worse, which some people watch that. Like, don't turn that setting off on their TV. But I'm enjoying it. It's fun, lighthearted, and zero stakes. It's something nice to end the summer on before we go into something very heavy in Black Panther 2.
Mhm.
They're like, that's going to be heavy. Guardians 3 is going to be heavy. Enjoy it, man. Like, who gives a shit? Like, just enjoy it. If you don't like it, great. But I think this is actually building towards a future for the Hulk as well as She-Hulk. That's kind of our thoughts on She-Hulk. And then kind of real quick, House of Dragon. As the big Game of Thrones fan, Bob, what are your thoughts on the House of Dragon? At this point, episode 8 was just released.
It's building to a war that's not going to be in this season.
Mhm.
So by the time the next season comes out, I'll know how it ends.
Right.
Because, like,
Oh.
I'm reading I mean, I know how it ends anyway, but, like, I'm reading Fire and Blood because I was, like, curious. And it's, like, all of everything that's happening in the show is all of a chapter, I think.
Yeah, you were saying that. And
So it's, like, not a lot of source material, and then they're just kind of running with it, which is cool because that means that they're actually writing this time around and not just, like, relying on a fat guy who's dying. But somebody's going to stop listening because of that, because that happened last time, too. But yeah, I'm enjoying it. I also agree that the time jump stuff is annoying. God damn it! And then,
shit, that's not good.
like,
God fucking damn it.
sorry. So I agree that the time jump stuff is annoying, but like this,
God
if you just
fucking
look
damn it.
past, the players. Or I'm sorry, like the characters, the actors, and that aging. The story is interesting, at least.
It's very interesting. I thought after the first episode, the first two, it was like slow for me, and now it's really picked up and it's been awesome. Like the last
I'm
2 or 3 weeks
also
have been
like
great.
I'm enjoying Rings of Power, which is a little
Behind on that, and
I haven't even started that yet.
not the
I
biggest fan.
like House of the Dragon. My one problem with it is that I just got to know the characters, and then they all had like 4 kids. So now I'm like, they say name, I'm like, who the fuck is that?
Well, my favorite thing on Twitter is like, you can't spoil House of Dragons for me because I don't know anyone's name. And I was like, that's actually really funny.
like
I saw a
big
review.
problem now, and I don't know if you guys realized it or not, is that there's 2 Aegons.
Mm-hmm.
Like Rhaenyra has an Aegon and Alicent has an Aegon, and that's going to become the issue.
Mm-hmm. See, I saw a review and it was like, it's Game of Thrones, but you don't know anyone's name. I was like, yeah. It reminds me of when Game of Thrones had good writing, like the first couple seasons where I was like real into it. So I'm enjoying it.
And George R. R. Martin said it'll take 4 seasons to tell the full
Yeah, I
story.
saw that.
So that's good.
Nuts, because like I'm literally sitting next to the book, and if I look at the chapter where this is coming from, I guess maybe it's too. It could be. It might be this whole sequence of chapters. So it could be 150 pages.
You just draw that shit out.
150 pages becomes 4 seasons, though.
That's what he said, and he said that
all of book 1 was 1 season, and that's not. That's more than 150 pages.
I think you got better showrunners this time, though, and like who can draw it out. Like they clearly match it out, probably make some stuff up. But yeah, not really liking it. It's good TV. Rings of Power, I am very whatever about. It's a show I watch. I do other stuff while I watch it.
Well, maybe that's why you're whatever. But Power, like, how much of a Lord of the Rings fan are you?
I like the movies a lot. Like the first Hobbit movie. Don't like the other two. I never liked. My problem is I'm not connecting with Galadriel at all. My favorite part.
I don't think you're supposed to. I think she sucks.
Doran. She does suck. Doran and Eldaron are my two favorite. That's my favorite part of the show.
But I think like Galadriel sucks because she doesn't know who she is either.
I guess I don't love her.
Like,
I do like her.
Driven by this like hatred and this whole thing, and then I am enjoying it. I just have no idea where that's going because
me either.
It's Semilarian. I don't know how to say it.
I'm behind on this week's, but I think production value. I think it's a beautiful show. I think they put a lot of heart into it and crafting it like precision, like precisely, so that it looks amazing and the story flows. Like I don't think. Also, the episodes are so fucking long. Like it doesn't need to be an hour and 10 minutes every week.
They do just seem like not dragged out, but it's like daunting when I turn it on.
Mm-hmm.
It's like an hour and 15 minutes for an episode.
It takes me 2 hours to finish it because I stop and have to do stuff, but it takes so fucking long. And like I like my 45 minutes to an hour episodes. Like that's all it needs. Just make it a little bit longer and just make 2 episodes longer and do 45 minutes to an hour.
I think next episode is the last one for this.
Yeah, it's done for the year, and they're already filming season 2. And HBO actually pitched to the Tolkien family that they wanted to remake the movies in a series, and Netflix wanted to do like a Marvel universe of like an Aragorn show, and then
they don't need to do that.
And the families were like, no, that's why it ended up at Amazon.
The original trilogy is perfect. They don't need to do a series on it. It's literally perfect. Like, don't fuck around with that.
You're perfect, Shane.
You are.
Thank you. And on that note, thanks for listening, guys. This has been previously recorded.
I mean again.
Yeah, but yeah, I think that does it for us here. Any changes to your Halloween candies? They're still the same as last year.
What did we say last year? It's always mini M&Ms.
Reese's.
It'll always be mini M&Ms. Nothing tops mini M&Ms.
It's such a strange thing,
Reese
but okay.
Cups? No Reese Cups?
Reese, I thought Reese's Cups was top of the
You know what? You know what's getting thrown in this year, and I'm bringing them back. I just bought a box of them. The green caramel apple, like
Oh, the
Oh, yeah.
lollipops? Oh, those
Yeah.
are awesome.
That was an Archbishop Brian classic in the candy store.
I'm bringing them back. That was not on the list last year, and I know it wasn't, but it is now.
I like it. I approve.
RP,
Sorry.
can you give me screen sharing ability? Because I want to show you guys what an Ichabod looks like. The Washburn Ichabods. So that's their mascot. Is they're the Washburn University is the Ichabods, and this is what this dude looks like, and he's the creepiest person like of all time.
Oh my god!
Oh, what the fuck?
Yeah, dude, it's fucking fantastic.
Not what I was expecting.
This one in the corner is cool. I like him. Like
Yeah,
the,
Yeah.
the
Kinda looks like
normal,
Abe
like
Lincoln.
on a piece of paper mascot's like an old school guy with a top hat, like silhouette. The actual mascot looks like it's just like a mascot human being.
He
Just
he
a weird
literally
kind of
no,
mascot.
he literally looks like from that sketch on I Think You Should Leave.
Yeah, like Johnny
Where he's
Havoc.
like, there's too much fucking shit on me.
Yeah, so that dude rocks. Is all I was getting at there.
Reese Hoskins knew how to play fucking first base. Things would be different. But bring it back to caramel apple, still mini M&M, still Reese's, but throwing Heath bars into the mix because I really like them now. Toffee is
Wild
delicious.
take. I like Heath bars in my ice cream. I don't know that I've ever eaten an actual.
I love toffee, dude. That's like a new thing for me. Toffee is so good.
Heath bars are good. They're just hard to eat because they're so. It's just hard.
That's what she said.
Is that why I'm hard to eat as well?
Well, you have a cream
Why?
filling. The Heath bars don't have a cream filling.
Jesus fucking Christ. All right. Well, I think that does it for us here today. Thank you for listening. Remember to rate, like, and subscribe. This is our 99th episode. Remember, we are monthly now. So if you look for us every other Friday, sorry, bud, just listen to old episodes.
Go listen to old episodes.
Yeah, or call me on Instagram. I'll pick up. But that does it for us.
If they're looking for something to listen to, there's no previously recorded episode bi-weekly anymore. Go listen to Gateway Gamers.
Yeah,
You know?
it's true. Gateway Gamers is there. We're also, Marvel and I are going monthly, but he's doing some solo episodes.
Or go listen to A Stranger's Problems.
Yeah, you know what? Go say hi to somebody. Talk
Yeah.
to somebody.
Yeah.
Get the help you need.
How about you listen to your children?
But okay, guys, happy Halloween, and we'll see you later. Bye.
Let's watch a Disney Channel movie.